What's going on everyone, SuperaTom here, and as we've all known, patch 2.6 is pretty much on its way, and I am sure that all of us are excited to start exploring the new chasm area, doing some new quests, and especially excited to pull for our new character banners. However, that's also one of the nightmares for our Genshin Impact player whenever a new patch comes, is to make the decision on which character you should go for, especially when we have limited premos, but even more so when MiHoYo just continuously decide to drop good characters like Ayato along with some of the best rerun banners at the same time, which is Ayaka and Venti. So that's the question I have been getting a lot, is that Ayato, Ayaka and Venti, which character should I pull for? In which in this video I will go through just that, diving in depth into each character pros and cons so that you have a good understanding of the character, and then provide you my personal opinion on which character would be best for your current account. Now before we start, a quick disclaimer guys, is that the pros and cons of Ayato will be based on pre-release analysis, and so since he is not officially released at this point yet, we will have to wait until he officially arrives for a full test on Ayato. However, based on all of the information we have got on Ayato till now, I believe that you should still be able to have quite a complete picture of Ayato himself. Also, if you're new to the channel guys, consider to subscribe and join our Discord server, because I do hold quite a lot of monthly giveaways and sometimes new character giveaway like I have just done with Ayato right here. And then with that out of the way, let's just hop into the video. First, we'll have a close look into Ayato, who we do know now is Kamisato Ayaka's brother, who holds a Hydro Vision wielding a sword. His kit focuses on around turning his normal attack into Hydro, along with his burst creates a Hydro rain field which rains down onto the enemies, but most importantly, he just loves bubble tea a little bit way too much. Now first, we'll look into Ayato's pros. Well, first of all, the biggest factor about Ayato is that he is a husbando. Who doesn't love a brand new handsome husbando for those husbando collectors, right? I know a lot of you guys would. And on top of him being a very good looking character, he also has one of the best and most beautiful skill animation in the game. His normal attack just moves at lightning speed when you use his E skills, and his burst animation looks just absolutely fantastic. But not only that, one of the more realistic reasons to go for Ayato is because of the lack of Hydro character at this point in time. We've only had 5 characters currently, and having Ayato, that would make a total of 6, and most of the other elements have already have way more than 6 characters at this point. On top of being a Hydro character, the interesting thing about Ayato is that his kit makes it possible for him to be slotted into a number of different teams and positions, from being your team hyper carry to contributing reaction damage as a burst support, in which up until now the only Hydro hyper carry character we have is basically Child. We can work on making the other Hydro character a DPS, but it's just not as optimal. But with the introduction of Ayato, you will have more option with a Hydro DPS. And then finally, with his burst being 18 seconds long and only a short cooldown of 20 seconds, he will be able to provide your team really good support with Hydro application. But also along with his burst, he will give you a normal attack increase of up to 20%, helping your team with some quite nice buff. On the other hand, as for Ayato's con, even though his burst cooldown is not too long of only 2 seconds, his burst requirement is at 80 energy, meaning he either needs to be in a team with character that supports energy particles like Raiden Shogun, a Hydro battery, or use an energy recharge weapon or energy recharge sans artifact to keep his burst uptime consistently. However, most of the time, we will probably only run Ayato alone without any of the following options, which requires at least 6 seconds of on-field time using Ayato's E skills if you want energy particles to be created. And as shown from the live stream footage, he creates 2 particles when he uses his E skills, so he would make roughly 4 particles over a 6-second duration E skills. With this information, we can deduce that he would need roughly 300 energy recharge if you want his burst uptime to be consistent as a full burst support. Now, if you're planning to use him as a hyper carry and you're a free-to-play player, then there's a high chance that you may not have the most powerful sword that is best suited for him. His best 5-star options are the Haran, the Misplitter, and the Primordial Jade, in which they are pretty hard for you to get your hands on, even though I do bless you with good luck if you do decide to try and get one of them. His best 4-star option options are also quite limited. The first one would be the Black Sword, which is only obtainable through the Battle Pass option, which guarantees you to spend money to get it. The second option would be the Black Cliff Longsword, which you will have to spend your star glitter on if you do want to get it. And then the other good 4-star option is likely the Lion's Roar, which again only obtainable through gacha option, but it's quite hard to use because it can only be activated if you're running in an Electro Charge team for Ayato. And so currently the most free-to-play option for you is going to be the Amino Makaguichi, which is a pretty good option I would say. However, that is kind of like the only option in terms of 4-star weapon that you have access to at this point, but you can only get it once you unlock Inazuma. Now the next reason is just going to be my personal opinions and the assumption I have got based on the current Ayato's kit, but if you don't agree with it, that's totally fine. You can leave your comment down in the comment sections. Is that Ayato doesn't necessarily bring anything new to the table apart from his very good looking animation at this point, because his E skills is quite similar to Child in that he turns into a Hydro DPS dealer, and then his main burst focus is having Hydro application, and at this point we already have at least 3 amazing characters that can do that, which is Kokomi, Mona and Xingqiu, who is very good with Hydro application. And then finally his other form of team utility is that he provides a 20% increase in normal attack, which is pretty limited in terms of the amount of character who can make use of this, because any character that focus on dealing burst damage or charge attack or E skill damage, they would not get any of that benefit. Plus we've already got so many characters that can buff normal attack, meaning Ayato is definitely not the go-to character in terms of buffing your damage. When Ayato's kit was first leaked before, MiHoYo decided to have him provide attack speed, which is a much better option I would say in terms of team buff, because this skills is very unique and it also allows you to create different team comps from that as well. But now this skill is actually locked behind a C4, which kinda sucks. So that's for Ayato. Now we move on to his sister Kamisato Ayaka, in which by this point I'm pretty sure most of you would already know that she is an amazing cryo character using a sword that consists of a special sprint which allows her to move swiftly through land and water. But more than that, Ayaka has access to one of the best kits in the game, in which everything focuses on allowing her to maximize her DPS potential. And so first we'll look into Ayaka's pros. It's that her normal and charge attack both have pretty good scaling, making her a very good DPS potential if you do decide her to have her on field. However, the majority of the time we will have Ayaka being a sub DPS because her burst is just an absolute killing machine if it does hit your opponent. Reasons why Ayaka's burst is so good is that over its duration it does 20 tick, however it just does it so fast that it saps your enemy HP bar all the way down to 0 before you even know it. And so most of the time if you've already built your Ayakas enough, her burst will one-shot weaker enemies almost 100% of the time. She has access to a special sprint which allows her to be infused with cryo, making her a full cryo damage dealer, therefore allowing her to perform very well in freeze team. Her kit, as we've probably already known, it gave her insane damage boost because her first passive talent gives her a 30% normal and charge attack bonus after using her E skill, and then the second ascension enables her sprint to have even more value because after she hits an enemy with her sprint she gains an 18% cryo damage bonus, which is absolutely nuts. And 18% is just so high that till this point I'm still surprised that MiHoYo actually allows her to have this skill. Overall, Ayaka is really a top tier character in both meta and as a waifu, and in terms of meta wise she can actually rivals that of Ganyu in many top team comps, especially in terms of clear time. I have seen Ayaka being able to clear Abyss Flow much faster than Ganyu at certain times. As for Ayaka's cons, she has very clear certain drawbacks that makes people kind of skip her. The biggest one is that if her burst actually misses, you are at a huge DPS loss. Therefore, Ayaka actually is stuck in quite limited team comp, as her most common comp is only going to be freeze team, as it enables her to let out consistent DPS without worrying that she will miss her burst. Second one is her dash. Even though her special sprint is one of the most fun factors that sets Ayaka apart from other characters, but many people just dislike this dash. It takes time and skill to master her her playstyle because it feels quite clunky even though it has already been buffed by MiHoYo when Ayaka arrived. So with this reason alone, it has already made most people skip her. And that's for Ayaka. Now we move on to Venti, our Anemo Archon, Barbatos, the god of freedom. He holds the power of Anemos and wields a bow as his preferred weapon. His tap skill will let you create an Anemo current which can lift enemies off the ground, and holding this skills allows him to lift himself into the air, which leaves an air current behind as well. His burst is one of the most OP in the game. If it does work, is that it will suck anything that is medium-sized enemies into it, allowing you to do sword and Anemo damage at the same time. So as for Venti's pros, he is still the best crowd control character in the game. When we speak about crowd controller, the first character we think of is going to be Venti, though he has become quite a rather niche support compared to when he first started out in the game. He can still function as a very great support overall, as he is still able to take advantage of the 4-piece PV and can be a very great battery for your team when holding a Favonius Warbow, as his skills and bursts will help you generate quite a decent amount of particles as well. Both his skills and bursts will help you deal a lot of damage, especially when they are reaction focused if you build him with elemental mastery. Therefore, he is still a very good Anemo supporter when you're having him on the team. However, Venti has got to some major drawback, especially some of these past few patches. It's first of all a very clear reason being that his utility is slowly getting very more limited, as newer enemy cannot be crowd controlled by him anymore. Especially in the Abyss, most of the enemies that appears are just way too heavy to actually be pulled. And furthermore, Venti's burst can be missed because of the everlasting weird AI mechanic that has been going on in Genshin Impact since the start. Plus, if the enemies aren't being crowd controlled by him, then they can just easily walk out of his burst, therefore making Venti provides almost no benefit when he is on the team. Secondly, back when Kazuha actually arrived, his usage is now almost much more preferred over Venti, because unlike Venti, Kazuha can also do a little bit of crowd control. However, the most important thing is that he gives elemental damage bonus to the team on top of the 4-piece Viridescent bonus. Kazuha's burst also has a very wide AoE, making it just much easier to work around with. And then finally, for those who want to main Venti, he's generally not as good as a DPS, so building him as a support is just a more suitable option to go, therefore limiting his on-field time. And then most of the time, Venti is just there to press his Q for crowd control, and then he's never seen on the field again. So now that since we've already have an overall idea of the 3 characters, it's now time for you to look directly into your own account and think about which character would be the most beneficial for your account at this point. Now once again, the most important factor before you pull any character is obviously if you love the character, then sure, just absolutely and try to go for it, because it really doesn't matter if they are going to be performing well or not. If you just love the character, then that's already a good enough reason for you to go for them. But if you're looking for the best investment overall, then obviously when you're thinking about going for Ayato, the main reason would be is because you don't really have any other good hydro applier like Mona, Kokomi, or even Xingqiu. But more than that, you want to have a hydro DPS, because once again, Ayato is most likely going to be needing quite some field time. For Ayaka, obviously if your account is lacking a good sub DPS cryo character, you can put up with her dash and her gameplay, and you've already have good team support character like Diona, Rosaria, and Xingqiu for freeze team comp. And you pull for Venti when you love Venti as a character and you are lacking an Anemo support at this point. But either way, after all that, I still want to give you my very personal advice in terms of which character you should go for. However, do keep in mind that this is only my personal opinion, so you can decide to follow it or not. Is going to be your choice. Is that first of all, you should not go for Venti unless you really want him and love him as a character only, because he's just really nerfed in these past current patch due to the fact that there's non-existent enemy that can be crowd controlled control. Plus, Kazuha is most likely going to be coming back very soon in like patch 2.7 or something, so you do need to think about that also. However, since Venti is coming back, there is a high chance that miHoYo is going to be fixing the Abyss to feature enemies that can be crowd controlled. So guys, I wouldn't say Venti is a bad character, however he's really dependent on miHoYo in terms of providing enemies that can be crowd controlled or not, because once again he is actually a niche support character that focuses on crowd control only. For Ayato, his kit and gameplay is currently not too understood because he is not officially arrived just yet. However, we do already have a lot of hydro application option if you're looking for good support like Mona, Kokomi and Xingqiu. But if you actually want a hydro DPS character and do not have Child yet, then Ayato is definitely a good option for you to go for. And then Ayaka is currently the best option because we already know how good she is, especially in Freeze team. It's generally really easy to play and very cheap to build. So aside from the fact that you will have to put up with her dash and get used to it or master her gameplay, if you're someone who focuses on the meta, then I don't think you should be missing out on Ayaka once again, especially on the fact that she is already on her rerun banner, so we do not know when she will be coming back. And so those are some of my saying on the current 3 characters that's going to be coming in 2.6. They are all definitely going to be amazing character. We've already known Ayaka and Venti for quite some time. They are very good at what they do, and I'm sure Ayato is going to be the same. So I hope that this video have been able to help you in any way to make a better decision. If you do have any question, feel free to drop down in the comment section and I will get to you there. Now, if you're already planning to pull for Ayato and is considering to whether or not go for his weapon, the Haran, then I've got a video diving in depth into seeing if the Haran is actually going to be worth your investment. So if you're still considerate about that, be sure to check the video out as I'm sure it's going to help you out. So guys, if you do enjoy the video and are new to the channel, consider subscribing and join my Discord server where I'll be holding a lot of different giveaways. And with that, I wish you a super day and I will catch you on the next video.